Good afternoon, everyone. We've got some earnings reports piling out, so let's pop through this disclosure. I'm an associated member of T3 Trading Group, which is an SEC registered broker dealer, and member of FINRA SIPC. All of my trades are placed through T3 Trading Group. You should carefully consider whether trading is suitable for you in light of your own financial condition. Position disclosure: I am out of Google. I am out of Reddit. I am out of Firm. I didn't want to get out of a firm, to be honest. I wanted to keep it, but I couldn't risk holding it into the earnings report from a position of negative P&L. If it goes up, and that thing could go up big, it would be a problem for me. So had to be prudent on that one. But I did get out of this Reddit. Reddit's trading really nicely here after hours on pretty solid looking earnings report and guidance, beating expectations across the board. $50 really was my target. Was holding a little bit just for a bigger run above that, but wasn't really worth it to me to keep it into the report. So I liquidated that one. Yeah, Reddit report looking pretty good. Their loss, Q1 net loss, is less than expected. Their revenue beat expectations for Q1, and their revenue guidance is also a pretty nice beat, 240 to 255 million versus estimates of 228 million. So yeah, Reddit, I think this company's got a lot of potential if they really monetize the company properly, which will certainly be the if. That's what I've been saying from the beginning. There's a chance that they monetize this company properly with their huge user base, and it's worth, I think, double where it is now, maybe more than double. There's also a chance that they don't properly, and it's another snap where we could see it at 15, $20 at some point in the future. But I am inclined to be bullish on it personally. So we'll see how that plays out. We got Upstart reporting. The numbers looked okay. It's halted right now, but this guidance is not good. They see their fiscal year revenue at 300 million versus estimates of 580 million. That's a big miss. So I'm assuming off of that, Upstart will be down when it opens up. If anyone sees it open up, let me know. Curious to see the action on it. But otherwise, their Q1 loss was less than expectation, and their revenue was a little beat by 3 million. What's Coupang doing? Anything? CPNG trading down a little bit. What about Wynn Resorts? We got Wynn Resorts out. Wynn is trading up a couple bucks. Not bad. We got Twilio out. Twilio a little all over the place, but it's trading down at the moment. Second quarter adjusted EPS guide seems like it's in line-ish. Revenue guide is slightly light for Twilio. But Q1 EPS was a nice beat. Q1 rev was a small beat. Rivian's out. Down now. They did that weird thing where they gave the move before the number came out. We've seen that happen a lot. Sometimes it's in the right direction, sometimes it's in the wrong direction. This time they ripped it up initially. Rivian beats on Q1 rev by a small amount. Yeah, I don't know. Q1 deliveries beat by a little bit. I don't know. This company, the whole bull case on Rivian is just that Jeff Bezos wants to continue to compete with Elon Musk. Big refreshing seller on the tape at $9.84 on, I think that was on ARCA. And then bid got hit real hard off that for Rivian. Yeah, it's ARCA. That ARCA seller's still there, 84 cents. 984 Rivian dumping stock on ARCA. Another 10,000 shares just went off. That offer has sold tens of thousands of shares in just the small. There's another. Look at that. 21,000 and two prints went off there at 84. Another 3,000. Another 4,000. Another 3,000. And I'm not even counting the 100, 300, 400, 900 rapid prints that are going off. That 84 seller is dumping, but they're also taking them as the flip side. Another 5K print into that 84 before the downtick. Let's see if they break it or not. Now we got 980 selling. Is it selling on ARCA? Could it be the same seller? Could that be a 980 seller stepping down? Yeah, 980 they just uptick the heck out of that 980, thousands of shares, and ARCA sold at 970 probably now. So sellers stepping down on ARCA potentially. Let's see if we get some more prints on this 970 if it looks like someone's totally unloading and sticking with the same ECN. There's 3,000 shares that went off at 70 cents, but that was on EdgeX. It's a different ECN. Looks like ARCA and EdgeX are selling at 70 cents. I would assume that the ARCA seller is the same. NASDAQ took 2,500. That broke. It broke, but right into that 84, and the 84 ARCA was still there dumping. So maybe that was not the seller stepping down. Maybe that was a new seller coming in who happened to also be refreshing on ARCA. A lot of times when you see that, when they step down like that, then they won't be at the higher price when it gets tested because they step down until they got their done. Now 980's buying on NASDAQ. So we got a buyer here on the bid refreshing at 980 and on NASDAQ, and a seller at 984 on ARCA who has just absorbed tens of thousands of shares of buying. Who's going to win? I don't know. Yeah, look at that NASDAQ buyer. The ARCA seller was massive, though. Look at that. They just upticked into it. 6,300 shares went off on bats there at 84, but ARCA is also still selling. So a tape trade you could take is to basically buy above 84 or short below 80 on if the seller breaks or the buyer breaks, and then you use the opposite side basically as a stop loss. I'm not taking that trade. I'm not going to be involved, but that's a potential type of tape trade that you could look at in an earnings name. Wasn't planning on sitting here reading the tape in Rivian, just happened to be in front of me, and the price action was kind of interesting to see how heavy that seller was at 84 cents on ARCA. Ooh, broke. Ooh, and then they crossed it right down. So that trade would have failed. You got to get out real quick when that happens. All right. Let's talk about the market. So how did we close today? Pretty flat, right? So right now the SPYs have upticked about 20 cents after hours, which brings us up to 0.15% in the green. The Qs, same deal. They've upticked, it looks like 30 cents after hours, which puts us 0.08 in the green. And the IWM has downticked a little bit, actually. Downticked like 30 cents to be 0.05% in the green. So pretty flat from an index perspective, kind of across the board as of today's closing prices. It was also a pretty flat trading day from an index perspective, which I would argue is bullish. Pretty much went sideways all day, had the opportunity for this market to roll down into the close. It did not do it. So we spent the day, we did gap up, and we spent most of the day in kind of flat to green territory. In flat to green territory, but sorry, I got distracted by a message someone just sent me. Quote resumption at 16:30. Got it. 10 minutes for upstart. So anyway, as I was saying, the digestion up here for the market is bullish because the ADMA will catch up a little bit tomorrow and will still be a little bit extended tomorrow, but will be a little bit less extended. So as of the close here, we're about $7 extended from the ADMA, which is exactly where we opened. But again, because we went sideways all day, that ADMA will catch up a little bit more. But broadly, as we've described, even though this market has become increasingly bullish and SPYs have gotten above 515, the degree of extension that we have here is kind of that no man's land of extension, where you don't have a wonderful risk reward to be really pressing longs, and you're not so extended that you can feel confident looking for the shorts for a mean reversion trade. So from a market index perspective, the game plan today was to be a little bit more hands-off. If it's a coin flip, don't participate, right? Wait till you have an edge. There were a lot of names out there because we are still in a heavy portion of earnings season that reported earnings, and there were some good opportunities potentially out there. For myself, I was involved in Jumai today, starting from the pre-market, which worked out pretty well. I was involved in this Go-Go today, which at the end of the day worked okay. Traded really thin off the open, ticking down to 950. called that buyout down there. It was a pretty good buy, and they ripped it up to 1050. Thought there was a lot more potential for that, and I really liked this earnings report with this $10 areas resistance. And then it closed kind of back down to 10. So I ended up closing out both of those positions. The go-go I got stopped out of, a trailing stop basically on the way down intraday, and Jumai I just kind of closed out into the close. My loser today was Rivian. Rivian gapped up pretty big on speculation that they could be having a partnership with Apple. Now, I honestly didn't realize that Rivian, and this is 100% my fault, that Rivian was reporting today. I probably wouldn't have gotten involved in it. But regardless, I got involved in it, lost some money in it. Thought that, maybe with that speculation, plus the short float, plus everything else I've been talking about the potential of growth names to go. We had the TLT up nicely all day today as well. That maybe they could rip this Rivian a little bit further. But they didn't. They did the opposite. They sold it down into that gap. So that trade failed, and I lost some money in it. And the other one was this BYON, which I'm down a bunch of money in because I swung some into the earnings report, but my day trading on it was actually pretty decent. It took a decent stand in this thing around the 1650 area on the way up, not on the way down like the mistake I made the other day. I forget which name that was that I was going over with you guys, where I fought it and was buying it on the way down and was way too heavy, and then I talked about how I did a bad job, but it, worked out for me. But I need to learn that a bad job is a bad job, whether the P&L works or not. Whereas this one, I did a better job. Wasn't really fighting it in the same way on the way down. I did have some buys on the way down, but it was per the game plan of my swing position. But for anything that was aggressive, I waited on the way up. And on the way up here, after this big tail with this heavy volume, I was able to buy a bunch of stock at this 1650 area. Caught this move up to 1740. I was honestly looking for a little more. I wanted to see if we could get a retest of 18, but sold enough into that that I was able to do pretty well with it. But then it didn't close great, close at that price, so I liquidated the excess stock that I had. And now I'm just stuck in this swing, which unfortunately gapped down 26% on me, which is why I joked. I only hold the ones that go down into the earnings reports, not the ones that go up, because I liquidated Reddit into the close, and now Reddit's up 20% after hours here. But in reality, even though I joke, all I'm doing is I'm following my game plan for my trades, and that's it. So with where Reddit was, my game plan really dictated that it's not worth holding it into the earnings report. Just take my money and run. Reddit's been a really good trade for me. We called out this fantastic capitulation buy down here at the $38 area. Great V bottom off of that to work its way back up to the big $50 resistance. And now this earnings report is pretty good. I'd be surprised if we see Reddit back below 50 in the near future. So I'm going to keep this one on my radar to see if I can get any sort of dip to buy tomorrow or in the coming week or so, because I do still like it. How could I not talk about Peloton, my best name of the day today? So funny, especially anyone who's listening through YouTube, because we spent so much time talking about Peloton in yesterday's afternoon meeting with the unusual option flow that came in there yesterday, and that to me, someone even asked a specific question about it. It seemed to me like it was flow that was preparing for this thing to potentially get bought out. And then we saw the announcement this morning that the private equity firms are, what was the quote, swarming around Peloton to potentially buy it. And I get it, at the price of $3. It's exactly what I was thinking. So and this morning, even before that happened, I was thinking to myself I wasn't heavy enough and I wanted to size up. And luckily, I bought an extra 1,000 shares at around $3.50 and change before the news. Unluckily, if it could have waited another day, I probably would have bought significantly more around there. So yeah, really, really nice one in Peloton. Worth it to pay attention to that unusual option flow when it's consistent like that. So shout out to Pat for doing such a great job posting that information for the team here. Pretty much all I got. Google got back to my target, got back to above 170, so I liquidated Google. I will look to buy a dip. Chinese names came in a little bit today. which I actually want that for this BABA so I can kind of re-engage my position, which I'm interested in doing when it's not extended anymore. So we'll see if this thing gaps. If it gaps down tomorrow, most likely I'll be reinitiating a little bit of a position in it. So we'll see how that plays out. And that's pretty much it. It's pretty much all I got. Again, boring day from an index perspective, but from a trading perspective, there was a lot going on. If anything, the mistake I made today was that I overextended myself again, just with the amount of positions that I'm in. So I'm in 25 positions right now after the close, and I had another 6 positions on at certain points throughout the day, and some of them were on earnings. Well, Jumai was on earnings, GoGo was on earnings, BYON was on earnings. It just is a few too many names for me on earnings days to be in at once. So I got to make note of that and be a little bit more selective. There's just a bunch of stuff out there that I liked. I really liked that GoGo idea. I really liked that Jumai report. But I thought both those reports were pretty nice and had potential for squeeze capability. Rivian was actually probably the mistake to be in if I was going to choose one. And then happens to be the one that I lost money in too. So is what it is. That's all I've got. I'm happy to answer any questions you guys have. Not seeing anything in the VTF yet, so popping over to YouTube. Are you looking for any new setup in Apple? So no, I'm not really looking for a new setup in Apple right now because I already have an Apple position on, still from when the earnings got posted. I'm trying to remember what price I bought. I don't remember if it was just under, I think it was just under 177 that I bought. So I'm still managing that position. The target was 187, so I fully liquidated that position when it got to 187. The high of the day here is 187. I liquidated my position at 186.99, but per my game plan, I built back in on the way down. So I built back in slowly on the way down through yesterday's pivot low, which is 180.42. Today we got a little bit of a bounce back, so I sold, just buying back some of my position, selling back some of the position, and then I'm going to continue to do that and kind of continue to make money. So I'm not looking for anything new, but if I was, I would first want to see the ADMA catch up, which is usually what I want to see post these earnings reports. When stocks have really big gaps and they're very extended, I want to see what it looks like when the ADMA on the daily catches up. Is there any chance that this is a pivot low from 2 days ago and the ADMA catches up to 180.42? I would like that. But I don't think that you can trust this to be an absolute low yet until the ADMA catches up to that point. So we could dip further into these upper 170s, and that would be fine and normal and healthy. And a retest of 178 might be viable. With that said, I don't think the stock should ever be able to get back below the 177 to 178 area unless it's shown that something's wrong, or unless the market really collapses. So I think I would just be patient for now if I was looking for a setup. Yeah, Peloton was very nice. Thoughts on TOST earnings? I haven't seen the report. Did they come out after hours today? TOST reported. Bill or Pat, if you got TOST earnings, if you could post them so I could take a look, so we could help out with Uvixi Bull here. I'd be interested. In the meantime, from Gabriel, were you thinking of starting a short versus highs in the Qs or waiting for a higher prices extension? I was planning on waiting for a higher prices extension. I mentioned in the morning meeting today that if the Qs could get to like 443, I probably would look to initiate a short today. Got to 442. It didn't quite get there. With that said, one thing that I thought about doing, but didn't do just because there was a little bit too much on my plate, was just like, yeah, the Qs aren't quite a $10 extension yet, but I've been keeping this a firm on my books because I've wanted to have a short on my books. And firm looks like it's traded nicely down after hours here off the Upstart report, but a firm is reporting tomorrow morning. Upstart should be about to unhalt. so a firm is reporting tomorrow morning, and I'm out of the money in the position. So it's like, ugh, I really want to keep this position. I really want to have that short on, and I'm confident that eventually I'll end up positive in it. And I was positive in it a handful of days ago, but I kept the position again specifically because I still wanted to have a short on the books. And then it was really a bad job to begin with. You know, it started because I got stuck in it, but then I decided to make that my position just because I wanted to have a short on the books. So I was kind of doing that almost in lieu of building back into the TQQ short. But the problem that I encountered is, all right, now this earnings report is hitting, and it doesn't make sense to have this position on as a little bit of a hedge for some of these other long duration stocks that I have that I'm long into a report, because if the report's decent with the way the stock trades, it could be at $43, and then I'd be, you know, completely screwed on it. So as I liquidated a firm, I was thinking, well, maybe you should take that buying power amount, that same buying power amount that you were short in a firm, and just reinitiate your TQQ short with it. I didn't, and honestly though, I'm pretty bullish on the market right now. As we're seeing, you know, CTAs or buyers in any tape over the course of the week, the market's cleared up above big resistance levels. I am not afraid at all, and I really like the idea of putting shorts on into the $10 plus worth of extension, especially if I've got a lot of longs on. It's been a very consistently profitable strategy for me. I'm not afraid to do that, but you know, even though we were just about there, this market looks so bullish to me right now that I just decided to take my foot off the gas a little bit on the short side and wait a little bit more. But I'll probably reinitiate that position at some point. So I hope that helps, Gabriel. Not seeing anything. Not seeing any TOST numbers. So I don't got anything for you on TOST because I'm not seeing the numbers. Yeah, I like I know the company. I know the company, and I like it. I've traded this one in the past. I like the idea of being long, and I'd like to see the numbers. But the technicals look really good here. There's a potential breakout in this like 25 to 25.50 area that we can keep an eye on tomorrow. I like it for sure. But again, I'd like to see the numbers. Anything else, gang? What's Reddit doing now? Still hanging out, upper 50s. Upstart's still halted. Waiting for it to unhalt to see how down it goes. I'm gonna be annoyed when this firm is down tomorrow on its earnings report. But it is what it is. It is what it is. Sometimes you gotta follow your rules, even if you follow them to a fault. You gotta do it. Banks week close. XLF looks like the market to me. The City sell-off is interesting. City very relatively weak. JP Morgan not as bad, but not great either. I don't know. I wouldn't overread it. I wouldn't overread it. XLF looks okay. Not sure why City was relatively weak in the close. So I don't think it necessarily means anything. They're still above their major support levels. Thank you, Robert. Toast reported a quarterly loss of 15 cents, which missed the analyst expectations of 14 cents. Company reported quarterly sales of just over $1 billion, which beat consensus. This report looks okay. Thanks, Robert. Yeah, so the report for that TOST looks pretty good, but you know, guidance is important as well, so we want to see the guidance. But I like the company, I like the chart, so worth keeping an eye on. Upstart's open. Dead. Dead. Down to 22 bucks. There's big support in this area. I'm not touching it though. Definitely not to the long side. If I was gonna do anything with it, I would short it. All right. What's your view on PALL? It's an ADR. Oh, it's what the heck is this? Physical palladium ETF? I have no experience with this at all. Um, I assume that this is a palladium ETF in the same way that there's GLD is a gold ETF. But I've got zero experience with palladium, so I'm not going to give you any opinion on it. And the chart looks very range bound, so I've got zero opinion for you on this one. From Keen, SPY and Qs have obviously been strong today, but was a day 4 for both indexes. With this extension, was it wrong to look for an RDR short? I don't think it's ever wrong to look for an RDR when you're getting into like a day 3, day 4, day 5 situation. I don't think it's wrong. At the same time, I think that you need to recognize that the market has just cleared back above some major levels and it's looking really, really bullish. So, it is a counter trend trade, which is inherently what an RDR is. So I don't think that there was anything wrong with it, given the extension that we have. There's room for the SPYs to pull back and retest 511 if they want to, which gives you an okay risk reward on the trade triggering. I personally would rather wait to see the market get even a little bit more extended to coincide with that $10 plus of extension that we like to look for, where we can feel more confident. And overall, the market ended up just kind of given a bullish consolidation day today. But I don't think it's wrong to look for that in this type of situation at all. So, appreciate the question. Anybody else? We did a long one yesterday, so we can do a short one today. What's Upstart do? What's Rivian doing? Rivian back up, $10. Upstart continuing to get smizzoked. It's so weird when they halt them like that for the release. It's pretty rare that companies do that, but Upstart's done that 2 quarters in a row. And one last look at Reddit. Reddit's still trading well in these upper 50s. All right, well, it looks like I got through all the questions that you guys have for me today. Hope you all had a good day, and we'll see how things are looking tomorrow morning. So have a great night.